We're going to chapter 12 today, and the focus of chapter 12 is living your truth, living who you are, as against the pressures of life that want you to beat you up to be something different from who you are. So that's the focus here is knowing who you are, pretty much knowing your values, knowing your beliefs, and being able to stand for them as you go through life. Because typically there are a lot of people in life, and there's life itself. Life wants to beat us into shape. Life wants to beat us into shape. You go into a place and there are some people that seem to hold sway there, and they expect you to fit into a box they have already made for you. In their mind, they've made a box for you and they want to fit into that box. If you fit into that box, then it's okay. You are all good. But if you don't fit into that box, then you have a problem with them. They seem to see you something of a trouble, and they start bringing up different opposition against you. People want us to fit into a box that they are determined, irrespective of the size of the box. They want us to conform to a particular shape because they are after what you call mind control. They're after controlling people, mastering people, lording it over others. But that is not the way God created us. God did not create us to lord it over other people. God created us to be leaders. Leaders is working in unison with one another. It's called, Stephen Covey will call it interdependency, whereby there's a free flow of giving and receiving. It's just the same way we talk about international trade, right? When we talk about international trade, is ability for things to flow through the border, right? You give and you receive. I sell the goods that I have to you. I buy the goods that you have, right? And there's supposed to be a balance of trade. When there's no balance of trade, then one country is having an undue advantage over the other, right? The same way Peter Drucker would define it. Peter Drucker would say that we cannot build excellence on our weaknesses, that excellence is built on our strengths. So with my strength, I bless you. With your strength, you bless me. Hopefully, your strength are my weaknesses, so you cover my shame while I cover your shame also, right? And that's the whole essence of leadership, of building excellence, right? Typically, you don't focus your energy on your weaknesses. You delegate it. You find people who can do the things you cannot do, or the things that will unduly take your time, and rather than you focus and take away from the time you will have focused on building excellence. Is what you call the 80-20 rule also, right? In life, you want to focus on the 80% that makes a difference on your bottom line, not the 20%, right? You want to focus on the 80% that makes a difference on your bottom line, right? Not the 20%, right? So, and that's the way whereby we work together with one another, right? And that's the way life is supposed to be. But due to the fall, right, a lot of people with what we call a poverty mentality, they don't see that you're being better or you're increasing. They see it as a competition to themselves, right? Life is not meant to be a competition. Life is meant to be complementing one another, helping one another, being a blessing to one another, right? Everybody finding their own lane and moving along that and not being an hindrance to another person. If my success hinders another person's success, then it is not success. It's something else, but it's not success, right? Maybe that's why God defines in Joshua 1:8 what he calls good success, right? Every increase is not a success. There's a difference between good success and bad success. If my success is hindering or impoverishing someone else, it is not a good success, right? The birds in the sky don't collide. There's enough space, there's enough provision for every single one of us to get blessed without impoverishing or hindering the success of someone else, right? So every increase is not an increase from God. If my increase is taking away or hindering or impoverishing, stopping someone else from increasing, if my increase does not come from my value system, my belief system, then it is not a good success. Might be a success, but it's not a good success. It's not one that is worthy, right, of who I am or what I stand for. you know, and we see that a lot of that with people within our own locality. I mean, the people have wealth, but they cannot talk about it. They cannot give an example exactly how they got it. I mean, they have success that we'll call is not repeatable, right? A success that is not repeatable is not a success, because true success, every true success is repeatable, right? Every true success has a track that you can follow. That's if someone else does the same thing that you do, they will succeed. If you don't have that story, then I question your success. It's not a good success, right? But I digress. Let's move on with this. So Amy starts this chapter with this quote. You know, I try to find the meaning of this quote. You know, Toba, you're welcome. You know, I tried to find the meaning, but I didn't really see any direct meaning to it. But let's find our own meaning to it. You know, he's quoting Bob Goff, and he says, "Take away what you are known for, and whatever is left is who you are." Right? It's just saying that when you take away the periphery, when you take away the fluff, when you take away all of those masquerading, right? What is left is you. And when is the point in our life when those masquerading go away? Those masquerading go away when life tests you, right? When life tests you, then we'll know what you are made up of, right? When everything is okay, you can masquerade or you can behave like, hey, I have never eaten this before. I've never eaten paku before. You know, you can, you know, it's like when we talk about ladies, you know, and this is not being chauvinistic, but just an example that comes to mind. You know, in school, we used to talk about ladies and say that when they come to the buka, they will do as if they can't eat. They'll be picking the rice. But when you go into their hostel, you then see them doing something else, you know. But it's just a woman thing, it's a lady thing, right? They are made to want to impress, to want to show forth beauty. That's the way God made them. And, you know, God made them to be conscious of the glory they evoke, you know, because you see, a woman was made for man. So woman was made with that seeming thing that is so conscious of how the man looks at her, right? So the woman will tell you, they did this because of man, or they did that, you know, maybe there might not be a specific man in mind, but it's just the way they are made, right? But all of that fluff will go away when life hits you. When life hits you, what is left of you is the core of who you are, right? It's the core of who you are when life hits you, because then all of those fluffs will go away, right? Because it will break you, right? The core of who you are is what you see or what you meet when life truly hits you, right? It's not all the masquerading, the trying to conform and all of that, you know, and that's what we want to talk about. We all have a core, right? The question is, do we know our core? Do we know who we are? Right? Have we met ourselves? A lot of people have not met themselves. They're different, 1,001 different people, and they don't even know themselves, right? But we need to know ourselves, because until you know yourself, then there's nothing for you to show forth to the world, right? Remember, we said that the purpose of life itself is to become the highest version or the highest expression of all that God has made you to be. Not what your pastor wants you to be, not what your manager wants you to be, but the highest expression of everything that the one who created you, who formed you, wants you to be, right? So unless you know who that person is, then you cannot go to be the highest version of it. You need to know it, because when life eats you, the only thing that you can use to hit life back is who you are, right? And we go on here, and I picked this other quote here from Bob. You know, this was not in the book, but was just additional as I was looking for the meaning of the quote that the chapter starts with. And Bob says that if we only do what we're familiar with, we might miss what we've been made for, right? It's very easy to stay with the familiar, because the familiar is easy. The familiar is comfortable. The familiar is where I can lose myself. The familiar is what the subconscious mind craves for. The familiar is your place of flow, your place of ease. And your subconscious mind loves it, because your subconscious mind it works at its optimum in a place that is comfortable, in a place that is familiar. The only problem is that the place that is familiar is not a place of growth. It's a place of stagnancy. It's a place of complacency. It's a place of seeming safety, which is not ready for war. I mean, your comfort zone is okay if life will not ask question of you, right? If life will ask question of you tomorrow, then you must not be comfortable in your comfort zone, because you might not have the strength to face what life is going to ask of you. Remember that scripture in the Bible says that in the day of adversity, if your strength fails you, it's because your strength is small. It's because your strength has become complacent. It's because you have become comfortable where you are. You have not sought for growth. You have not harmed yourself. You have not checked your ammunition, your armory, to be sure that you have the right armory to face all the possible things that might come in before you, right? And that's what Sun Tzu will tell us in the Heart of War. He talks about that you understanding your enemy and understanding yourself. That's the only way you are guaranteed to win the battles of life, right? Understanding yourself, understanding the things that confront you, the things around you, will help you to prepare and not be comfortable in your seeming ease. Ease is a demon. It's the name of a demon. There are several names of demons, right? One I know is called Ori. Ori is a demon. Right? Ori is never of God. Ori is never of God. It's a demon. Right? Isaiah 28:16 says that he that believes will not Ori. He that believes will not be broken or torn apart. Right? He that believes will not Ori. He that believes will not be out of shape. Right? Ori is a demon. Ori is never of God. Ease is also never of God, right? There's that place in scripture that talks about that woe unto those that are ease in Zion, right? Ease is not a place of growth, right? Ease, for as long as we're on this side of eternity, we have to continuously push ourselves to higher grounds, right? If we don't, life itself will push us, right? And when life pushes us, is a place of testing. If we're not ready, we might fail the exam, right? Our best guarantee to pass when life is going to test us is to be sure always that we are building on the solid rock, right? We're not building on sand. We're building on a solid rock. Building on a solid rock is not a place of ease, right? It's a place where you are continuously growing. You're continuously getting to know yourself and exercising who you know, right? It's a place of growth, right? There's no place for ease, right? There's no place for lasciviousness, right? It's a place of zealously taking hold of life to win, right? It's a place of taking the battle to the enemy's gate. Don't wait for the enemy to come to your gate. You gotta take the battle to the enemy's gate, right? As we typically will say, offense is the best way of defense, right? And that's important. So, and we see this also from Virginia Rometry. She says that I learned to always take on things I've never done before. Growth and comfort do not coexist. You know, if you want to grow, then you have to say bye-bye to comfort. If you want to grow, you have to say bye-bye to ease. If you want to grow, you have to say bye-bye to people liking you, right? If you want to grow, you have to say welcome to confrontation. Welcome to people not liking you, right? If all you want is people to like you, then you be a slave to the people, right? Liking you is not the part of growth, is not the part of development, because people won't like you if you start growing, because for several reasons, right? One, they feel that you're in competition with them. Two, you are taking them to a place they've never been before, and they are worried whether you are crazy to even be trying to go to those territory, because in their mind, they are okay here. It's just like the Israelites wanted to always go back to Egypt, all right? Even though they were suffering in Egypt, it was a suffering they were used to. Not talk about new suffering they are not used to, right? They were used to it, right? They had become comfortable in their suffering. Like we say, suffering and smiling. So they could not see a vision of a better place and the price to pay to get there, right? So, but we need to understand that, and we need to take the bull by the horn. If I'm going to grow, then I cannot be a friend of comfort. I have to be comfortable with not being comfortable, right? I have to be comfortable with not understanding the next step. right? I have to take life on by faith, with faith, right? All right, so far so good. Chidi, Toba, are we doing so far so good?
Yeah. You are doing good.
All right, feel free to stop me anytime. I'll keep your question. Anyone we can do without discussing.
Yeah. So when you mention about the interdependencies of life, you talk about life not competition but complementary. But I would defer a bit on the competition. Life is a competition, but then with who? Is with yourself. And if you look at what you said about learn to always take on things you've not done, so it goes a long way telling you, look, maintaining your old self, you need to compete with your old self, do things you've never done, because growth and comfort do not coexist. That's the only way you get to the next level and know.
Absolutely.
And I blame myself. I don't think I've learned so much, but I'm filled with natural wisdom, and I think it's not enough. I need to break out of that and do other things. And I know I have the potentials, but I'm limiting myself, feeling I'm okay. So why do I need to? Yeah. So I need to seriously compete with my old self. I need to break out of that bound of complacency, believing that is good, I'm good, and all that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for pointing that out. The important thing is who you're competing with, right? You're free to compete with yourself. As long as yourself is okay, right? Simon Sinek will talk about the finite and infinite game, right? In the infinite game, you're competing with others, right? You're saying, oh, win, lose, right? In the infinite game, you're competing with yourself. There's no end to it. It's a continuous process of being better. Today, I'm better than who I was yesterday. Tomorrow, I'm better than who I am today. It's a continuous process, right? It also goes with what we call the law of use, right? The law of use says that whatever you don't use, you will lose. So if there's something God has blessed you with and you don't exercise it, you will lose it. It might not be a sudden lose, but it becomes to depreciate. Whatever you don't exercise, whatever you don't oil, will rot. And it might rot to the extent to which you will completely lose it. But for as long as you're not exercising it, it's losing efficiency. That's what we call momentum. In business world, we use the word momentum. The way you gain momentum is when you do something so often, so many times that it becomes second nature. It becomes second nature. And there's this coach, his name is not coming to me, but he's a football coach. And that's the way he won championship, right? It wasn't about his players being good or being differentiating themselves. It was about them learning the rope, learning the different steps they have to do as part of the game. They learned it and did it so many times that it became second nature to them. It wasn't as if they were necessarily talented, but they learned those parts so many times that they don't have to think. It just comes out naturally from them, right? And that's the way they won championship for years, because they inculcated the right habits, right? They did not wait for that habit to form it. They formed it. They decided this is the habit I need to win. And they did it so many times. They practiced it so many times until it became second nature to them, right? So I might be blessed with whatever talent. If I don't use it, I will lose it, right? Or I will lose it. I will lose efficiency with it. I will lose the flow with it. I will lose what we call momentum. I will lose what we call the edge. Having the edge is being sharp. That someone asks you a question, you already know the answer, but it doesn't come of its own. It comes by practice, right? Last year, as I began to fight my way out of depression, right, I knew that I had not done some things for a long period, right? And I'd been in that place where I wasn't exercising myself in those things. What I did then was, I remember what Tony what's his name now? Tony Robbins will tell you. He says success is about massive action. Right? To get success, you have to do massive action. What he's trying to say is that you have to gain momentum. What he's trying to say is that you have to get the edge. You have to, what you need to do so many times that it becomes second nature to you. Because success is about you being faster, quicker, being able to see things before others. Because even though we say you are not in competition, the truth is that you are in competition at the same time. Because if you are selling to a particular market, the other people trying to sell to that market, right? If you don't capture that market on time, someone else will capture it. You're not in direct competition with them, but there's only a certain percentage in the market, right? And your ability to capture it, your ability to know what the customer wants, the ability to know what to say comes by practice, right? But as you practice, your subconscious mind is also able to listen to the spirit world, right? That's what we call intuition. Intuition is the ability of your mind to hear from infinite wisdom, right? Your intuitive mind is the overlap between your subconscious mind and what we call infinite wisdom, right? And if you have not exercised your mind well enough, intuition will not work for you. Intuition comes also by exercise, what we call guts, what you call your gut feeling. I just feel like, right? If that feeling comes, is everybody has it, but to the extent to which you exercise it is the extent to which it will work for you and differentiate you from others, right? Someone has a